Hello YouTubers, we've made it to the first British rowing flatwater trial of not only the 2024-2025 season, but also the first one of the new Olympiad. And before, a few of you asked the question of flatwater trials. I thought you were doing... Cut! And Dan Jones is here as well. I thought you were doing beach sprints or coastal rowing. Well, I'll answer that later on in the video, because for now, we've got to do the first part of the trial, which is 2,000 meters on the rowing machine. So wish us luck. Oh yeah! And that's the 2K complete, just on a little bit of a warm down walk. Tried to get on the rowing machine there, but with the many waves going on and people warming up for their race, unfortunately no erg. So a brisk walk to get the legs moving, to address an elephant in the room immediately, not the one I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So actually I need to check the score for the video for the exact score. But that's probably the slowest 2K I've done at trials, and that was on purpose. That's not because I'm not able to do faster, although I'm not sure how much faster I could have went. The training I've been doing would suggest I could go a good bit faster, but just that, it's one of those things where you do a piece and you want it to go easier, but the difference between, say, 90% and 95%, even though it's 5%, that 90% is still going to be difficult. But legs definitely feeling it. And the reason for me going that bit slower is, for me, well, the cutoff itself is 6:05, so we ticked that box, we got that done with. For me, the erg and getting scores has never really been my issue, if it were. It's never really been a problem to get the scores, the cutoffs, especially for trials. 6:05 for a senior man is relatively easy for me to do. So I want to give myself the best opportunity come water pieces tomorrow. So it's 5K on the water in the single, for those of you that don't know. Just giving myself a little bit better of an opportunity to maybe take, I don't know, like recovery is going to be a little bit easier because I didn't go flat out. And then tomorrow I will, fingers crossed, be a little bit fresher and therefore be able to go maybe slightly harder on the water for 5K. At least that's the theory, because remember, rowing is a rowing sport, and at this trial in particular, I've went the fastest single sculler on the erg prior to the water piece, and then ended up 15th, 16th, 20th or so. So yes, obviously the erg is a really good measure of your fitness, but as they say, ergs don't float, and it's not fantastic indicator if you're going to go fast on the water. Generally, fast people on the water will go fast on the erg, but as I am a prime example, people that may go fast on the erg may not go fast on the water. So that's my thought process of that a little bit. Just going to continue this semi-brisk walk with, I think DJ Dan Jones is over there, just having he's just finished. But for him, don't know if he'll want me to say, but I'll make sure before I post this. For him, 6:05 is on the verge of his PB. So it is really tough, whereas my PB is under 5:50. So it's a measure off. So we'll go chat to him. We'll continue the warm down and then prepare for tomorrow, which I'm looking to be, like I'm going to look a bit silly if I don't give it a really good performance on the water, given I went a little bit slower on the erg than I potentially could have went. But that's kind of the cards I have dealt myself, and I have to play them as best I can. Well,
5:59. Easy work.
Is it? How was it, Daniel?
It was very, very, very rough.
And the score?
Let's not talk about the score.
Oh no!
I didn't get it.
You didn't get a cutoff, and that's what I hope you don't mind. So I was talking about the cutoffs and how it can be hard for some, other not so hard for us.
Yeah.
So hard for Dan, and your PB is
6:03.
6:03, and the cutoff 6:05. So 2 seconds different versus others can be 10 plus seconds different. So a tough one in the office for DJ Dan Jones. And we've got Matthew Fielding. It's been a while since you've been on the vlog. How was your 2K?
It was good.
Did you manage to cut off?
Yeah, 6:03.
Woo! So a little bit of a better day in the office for Big Matthew. And we have finished the warm down post 2K erg. That was a good one. The warm down itself relatively easy because my legs weren't screaming at me, but it was pretty tough on the legs, so just want to make sure the warm down's good so I get ready and start the process to be ready for tomorrow 5K on the water. But also, right now, I want to try and address the other elephant in the room that I mentioned at the start of the video. And maybe a little bit of a long chat, but I'll try and keep it somewhat condensed. I get asked quite a lot, actually, over the past 6 months or 8 months, a year, whatever it was. So what are you doing? Are you doing flatwater? Are you doing coastal? And then when I signed up for this, I got a lot of questions about why are you doing flatwater trials? I thought you were doing coastal. I thought you were doing beach sprints. Well, there's basically a few reasons, and I'll try and, like I said, to condense them and not try and chat too much. Number one, this trial is a great opportunity. A great opportunity to compare yourself to some of the fastest athletes in Britain. A great opportunity to come and just do an event. At this time of year, this is probably the highest standard event in Britain. Obviously around the world, that Head of Charles is really high, etc. But in Britain, this is the highest standard you're going to get at this time of year. And be as easily accessible. This event is open to everyone. So why not pop down? If you can manage to do the cutoff, then you can go onto the water and race with people who are looking to make the next Olympics. So why not come down? And then again, additional to that, with beach sprints and the coastal side of things, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I'm not aware of, but I know there is a lot of things going on behind the scenes of decisions to be made, things to be thought about to set up the next Olympiad. And so right now there's a lot of unknowns. So instead of me sitting, so, okay, there's going to be a race or a test or whatever it is with beach sprints, which could be next year, could be later next year, could be early next year, we're not sure. Why not use events in the flatwater calendar to help motivation and preparation for the beach sprint side of things? Like I said, you get to compare and race against a really high standard of people, and also with me, it helps me keep the motivation going with training, because I don't want to show up and just be really slow. I want to show up and represent myself well. So training for this is a good opportunity to train for coastal. It's a good opportunity to train for flatwater. So why not do it if it is an easily accessible regatta or event or whatever you want to call it? So hopefully that makes sense. It's just really interesting to hear so many people say, what's he up to? Whether it's directly to my face or through people around me asking like, well, what is Cam doing? What's he up to? Because part of it, honestly, it is just kind of up in the air behind the scenes for me. So there is that, but also it's also up in the air for a lot of people. So the decisions are still to be made, and we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, that doesn't really matter right now. All I'm trying to do now for this weekend, for this regatta or event, is go as fast as I can and enjoy it. So good 6 minutes, 6:01.8 on the erg. For that gets me the cut-off, so I get to go on to the water and again race with people who either have raced at a really high level already or are aiming to race at a really high level. So I'm really excited to go out tomorrow and there's been flashes in training lately that I want to show you the yamsquad, but I want there tomorrow to be I want to hold on to those flashes and be able to do it more consistently. I think I've said similar to you guys before, but tomorrow I'm excited. I just want to go out, finish the race, and be, regardless of split, be like, I couldn't have went much faster. Because my track record here in Boston has not been the greatest. You've come along with me on the journey quite a few times here, and there have been, I finished most of the races thinking I applied a lot of effort there and not really sure how I could have went faster. Ideally tomorrow I want to come away with, I applied a lot of effort and I don't think I could have went faster and I had a good speed. I think that makes sense. But we'll see, that's for tomorrow, that's for future yamsquad to look forward to. I think right now, it's not going to be anything interesting. Also, I just jumped straight into the 2K erg because I've been here often enough that I've showed a lot of you, like that angle I've showed quite a few times on the 2K erg. I didn't want to bore the yamsquad with the same video every time, even though a lot of you are new to the channel. So I've been doing British Rowing Trials for a few years now, and so the videos can be quite similar if I do exactly the same stuff. So let me know in the comments what you think of, should I just show the whole journey every time, or should I show bits like this? So skip the bits that I think are relatively boring, but also shown in another video. So you could go watch a previous trial, 2022, 2021, 19, 18. So instead of me vlogging the next 12 hours or so, 12 hours, is that right? No, 18 hours. I'll probably just see you tomorrow for the second day of British Rowing Trials 2024. But between now and then, I'll be eating to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. I'll be just basically sitting, doing nothing much, doing a bit of work, writing the yamsquad programs. For those of you that don't know, behind the camera I do online coaching programs. I do have a couple of spots open, just a little plug there. If you do want me to coach you remotely, you can sign up. There's a link in the description below for that if you're curious. And I think that's everything I wanted to get off my chest there. And it's been a long chat, classic. So I'll put down in the description, I'll put down in the video if you wanted to skip it. But that is the chat finished. See you tomorrow for 5,000 meters on the water in the single. Day 2 of British Rowing November 2024 trials, and as you can tell, we've made it to the boats because today is the water portion of the trial. 5,000 meters down the course as fast as possible. The course itself, 5 kilometers, it's around 2k, then a bend, then about another 2 and a shallower bend, and then right into the finish. Very easy course to steer, quite a wide canal. The conditions today are looking pretty good, pretty flat. The wind's supposed to pick up a little bit, but not too much. Can't really ask for better conditions to go down and not really be concerned about what's going on outside the boat. Just have to focus on internal processes, rowing as well as possible, and seeing how fast we can go. So for now, a little bit early, as you might be able to tell, nobody really around just now, just because I had to check out early from the place I was staying. So here, just to absorb the atmosphere a little bit, go a little bit of a walk and prepare for getting on the water. For me, not too much to do, apart from just check over the boat, make sure it's all ready, and then because it's 5k up to the start, that's pretty much all the warm-up I'll be having or need. I'll probably end up doing about 7k or so, 7.5k warm-up, so I don't want to do, or don't need to do much off of the water. So we'll be watching the women come down. I think that's the first women on their way down now. Then we'll kind of be able to gauge how their times are to see what the conditions are looking like. Are they really fast? Are they not really fast? So using that information as best we can, and then dealing with the cards we were dealt with yesterday, and see how we get on. And we've got the start order for us, and I'll be off. Not sure if I can actually show you all the names. I'll be off number 20. And then just looking at the people, I'll be able to use the people ahead and behind to gauge how fast I'm going to go, and hopefully be able to use them for a little bit of extra motivation.
What's he doing? He's well late. Fancy you. How you doing? You alright?
Good, are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good. That's it. What are you doing here?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
See you later.
See you later.
Oh, could you take this, please? Oh, I'll do it. Thank you. Be right back. Oh, thank you. Right, round two. Made it onto the water after a little bit of a mishap. Forgot my caffeine in my pocket, so went back in. No worries, it was ahead of schedule anyway. So now we paddle up to the top, get warmed up, and then come back down as fast as we can. Yeah, boys.
Ready? Off you go.
thoughts right away. Felt like I did what I wanted. So might change my opinion in half an hour, but I committed to the first 2k to the bend, which you can't ask for any more, and then the wind changes direction, so it changes the splits, so you're a bit like, where should I be? But I think that first 2k, probably the relative to conditions fastest I've ever done, and then last bit try to hold on, so proud of that effort. Let's see what the results say. All the way, or? Oh, that's the bait. There we go.
And the river right the way down 21. Right at the end. Okay, Leander, tideway scullers past the steps.
And then probably a thought to add on. So yes, I let the splits come up. Well, not let the splits came up after the first 2k, as you usually do coming around the bend, but I still gained ground on people, but I was gaining ground on them before the turn. So it's a question of, did they also slow down, or was everyone slowing down anyway? So I was going relatively the same speed. That's just the kind of thoughts through my head, as you can't really tell. Like the speeds are different on every body of water every day. So and like even just different parts of the water. So you can think you're going really fast looking at the splits. And I think I've said this, if you've watched other episodes, I've said this before. For me, it's harder to judge. It's getting easier, which I'm really happy about. Really getting easier to judge. Like that effort. That effort is far better than being a bit nervous in the first half and then kicking it home, whereas the overall effort might feel the same, but you just can't make up for a slow average, even if the effort's the same. I don't know if that even makes any sense. Just trying to process my thoughts before I get the results and let that change the feeling and change the judgment. But I'm really trying to stick to the wall. Anyway, I'm really trying to hold on to the feeling that was well, I'm not feeling fantastic. Right, trying to hold on to the feeling that was probably one of the best pieces I've done here at Boston. I mentioned before that the track record here in the 5k on the water isn't fantastic. Whether that was on the team or not, that was the best executed piece I've had here. So let's hold on to that, yamsquad. Let's try and maybe recover a little bit. This is the bit that I'm not the biggest fan of. We just get the boat all de-rigged, ready to go on top of the roof. The results are now out, so just a bit of waiting. Then we go check out the results, see how we did. Fingers crossed, yamsquad. Unfortunately, as you can probably tell, this clip, this part of the video where I was supposed to share my thoughts and feelings about the result just after I found out the result, doesn't have any sound. But I'm glad it doesn't, because it gives me the opportunity, after a little bit of time away from rowing, I got to just take a break and go out in Scotland, enjoy some scenery, a little bit of change of scenery, a little bit of change of perspective, and just a little bit of time to think about the result. And now I can share what I'm thinking with you, rather than at the time, I think I was a little bit overcritical and just a little bit more disappointed than I really should have been about the result. So, the result itself, 7th place, the best result I've ever had at trials. I'm pretty sure that's best ever, but I would have to go back and check out my pair's results. Either way, fantastic result in the single for a 5k time trial on the water. And let me explain a little bit why I think I was a little bit disappointed and a little bit overcritical at the time of finding out the result. So, like in the video, you could see people gathering around the scores, so I went over, looked at the score, saw my name, 7th place, and then kind of walked off, got my boat ready to go onto the roof and then get ready to go home. Whereas over the last few days and having time to actually process and look at the result itself, so yes, I was 7th place, best result I've ever had, so I can't really complain, even just ignoring anything else. But then you dive in a little bit about the times, and then things start to get a little bit better. So I came 7th with the most horrible pacing I think I've ever done. I was 2nd place to the halfway point, so 2,500 meters, and then 17th in the second half, averaging out to 7th place. I was, I think 8 or so seconds, so 9 seconds behind 3rd place, and that's roughly about a split. Looking at the splits on my stroke coach, I averaged around 147, 148 for around about 1250, 1500. So for me to come 2nd place in the first half, it meant that I went really fast for 1250, 1500 meters, but there was still about 1250 a K where I was slowing down and getting slower and slower, and then going into the second half, it wasn't the conditions that I was fighting, it was more so me that I was fighting, just not blowing up catastrophically, but really struggling to hold the pace that I was trying to hold for that first K or so. And so a better paced 5k, obviously it's if, ands, buts, excuses, etc. I'm not saying that this is all guaranteed to happen, and it's obviously, I'm not trying to make an excuse for anything. 7th place, fantastic, really happy with it. But in my mind, I'm saying, okay, 7th place with a really badly paced piece, and not necessarily far off of the people above me in time. That means that if I did have a better paced piece, so one split over 5k is 10 seconds, so therefore that one split should be manageable to make up if it's a better pace, obviously big if. Add on to that the fact that I'm not in the greatest of shape, I'm not in my peak physical condition. I've been really focusing in on rowing better, making the boat go faster, not necessarily pushing as hard. There's still quite a big way to go to get me back into PB shape, and I'm going faster than I ever have been on the water. And I say that because generally, so the person that won, or people at the top of this trials list, have done really well at trials previously, and they're usually around the top, and obviously they're at the top of this trial. And the previous trials, I've been about a minute and 30, a minute behind first place. Whereas this time, I was 20 seconds behind first place. Not saying I can make that up just by having better pacing or anything like that. More so saying the training I've been doing and working on the technique, trying to make the boat go as fast as I can with that technique, has really been paying dividends, and there's definitely a reason to keep that going. Generally, when I've been to trials, and you guys have shared the journey with me enough where I get off the water and I think, that was great, I've tried as hard as I couldn't try any harder, and then we look at the results and I'm a bit confused as to how I can put that much effort in and be that far behind people. Whereas this time, I actually put a lot of effort in, generally the same amount of effort relative to what I would do normally, but like even just that first half and second place, I've tried harder than that in the first half before and been still nowhere near, maybe 20th place. So there's signs that things are working well, and so that's really, really positive. So it's exciting for the future. So that will be it for today's episode, Yam Squad. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, it's not as, yes, ifs, ands, buts about perhaps this might have happened if I did better, but ignoring all of that, 7th place at trials, best position I've ever come in the single, and it's been great to be able to see that the training that I've been doing isn't necessarily the most normal or the way most people train. It's slightly different to the norm, so it's good to see that's working. And as well, I just want to say thank you to the support of the Yam Squad, especially over the past year or so. Without the support that you've given me, whether it's a comment here or a DM there, wherever it is, without the support of the Yam Squad, I'm not sure if the continuation of stepping on, not necessarily just improving, but even just keeping on going with whether it's training or racing or whatever it is, I'm not sure if I would have continued it without the Yam Squad's support. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm not really sure what the next video will be, but I'm looking forward to whatever it is, and I'll see you whenever that is.